sitting president is arrested by a foreign military. This is Kenya News Update today. Coming up, you'll see the dramatic courtroom showdown, the shocking power transfer, and the global crisis that could reshape geopolitics. But here's the twist. The man in handcuffs is still giving orders. Meet Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela, accused of narco-terrorism. In a New York courtroom, he stood before a judge, shackled, and declared he was still the president. He pleaded not guilty to 4 charges, including drug trafficking and terrorism. Meanwhile, back in Caracas, his vice president was being sworn in as interim leader. This is a story of defiance, power, and a raid that has the entire world on edge. For 9 years, Maduro has ruled Venezuela, a nation with the largest energy reserves in the world. On Saturday, that all changed in an overnight raid. Over 150 aircraft and 200 U.S. personnel entered Venezuelan airspace. They seized Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, in what his allies call a kidnapping. The U.S. calls it a surgical law enforcement operation. The target? A man the U.S. ambassador labeled an illegitimate so-called president and a fugitive from justice. But here's what nobody's talking about: the immediate aftermath. While Maduro was in court, his political machine was already moving. Rodrguez, his 56-year-old vice president since 2018, took the oath. She said she was pained by the kidnapping of her leader. She spoke to a parliament demanding his release. The scene was set for a colossal standoff. And then, something shocking happened in that New York courtroom. A member of the public began yelling in Spanish that Maduro would pay. Maduro turned and replied. He called himself a kidnapped president and a prisoner of war. He was then escorted out in shackles behind his wife. Earlier, he told the court, "I'm a decent man. I'm still president of my country." The 92-year-old judge, Alvin Hellerstein, had to interject, saying there would be a time and a place. But the drama was just beginning. Here's the part that will blow your mind. Just hours after the raid, former U.S. President Trump vowed the U.S. would run Venezuela. He promised U.S. oil companies would move in to fix infrastructure and start making money. He warned the new interim president, Rodrguez, that she could pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro if she doesn't do what's right. Yet, despite these claims, Maduro's allies remain in charge. Rodrguez, from her new position, indicated a potential shift. She invited the U.S. government to collaborate on an agenda of cooperation. This hints at a possible, fragile opening. But the world is watching and reacting. At the UN Security Council emergency session, Venezuela's ambassador, Samuel Moncada, called it an illegitimate armed attack. The U.S. ambassador, Mike Waltz, stood firm. The stakes: control of a nation's vast oil wealth and a precedent for international intervention. The implications are seismic. This isn't just about Venezuela. It's about sovereignty. It's about power. It's about who gets to decide which leader is legitimate. Some see justice. Others see an act of war. The controversy is global. But here's the unanswered question that keeps diplomats up at night. If this can happen to Maduro, which leader could be next? Do you think this was a justified arrest or an illegal kidnapping? Drop your take in the comments. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more breaking global news that impacts us all.